Hello, I'm Jonathan Ross, and I'm making my way across the thin strip of water that divides mainland Miami from the rather literally named Star Island, home to the person I've been invited to interview today, Gloria Estefan. You know, it would be hard to imagine a more perfect kind of pop star than Gloria. She's 5'2" of curly-haired Latin beauty. Sexy? Of course, but in a healthy, wholesome, Cuban girl-next-door kind of way. With her husband, Emilio, she helps run a multi-million-dollar business empire, all based on the solid foundation of big, powerful ballads and irresistibly catchy dance tunes. With lyrics like, and let me quote, "Come on, shake your body, baby, do the conga. You know you can't control yourself any longer." But what's fascinating about Gloria is that she's almost an old-fashioned kind of star. In an age when most female performers are singing explicitly about the kind of physical aspects of love and lust, showing all in explicit videos and big nudie books, Gloria goes against the grain. She releases an album of intimate and personal classics from Cuban romantic music of the 1930s and 40s. One thing I think is clear. Gloria is not the kind of person to grab her crotch in public. Unless, of course, I ask her really nicely. Gloria, thank you very much for having me into your home.
You're very welcome to
Or almost into your home, because we're just outside it. While I was making my way here, I noticed that there are these tour boats going past that are announcing Gloria Estefan's house is here, and you might see it if you're lucky. Is that something that bothers you at all?
It doesn't bother me. Obviously, if I don't want to be seen, there's areas where I can hide out. But no, I wave to them all the time when I'm out there. It doesn't bother me. Before
we embark on what I hope will become the definitive Gloria Estefan interview, there's one thing I've really got to get out of the way, which while reading about you, I turned this up, and it might not be true. I sincerely hope it is. In one piece, it claimed that you once worked for the US Customs as an interpreter, and you, I believe, apprehended and detained single-handedly a nun smuggling a sausage. Any truth to this?
Well, you have most of the truth. I didn't single-handedly apprehend her.
So it took several people to bring her down?
It took several people because they smelled it on her. That's what it was. One of the customs guys, they've got trained noses in it. Now they have dogs that do this, you know, like fruit dogs and drug dogs. But at the time, it was the agriculture guys that used to do that, and they smelled suspicious sausage on this nun. And they did a strip search, and she had it hanging on a rope between her legs.
Well, maybe we shouldn't go into this too much, but then,
no, was
this a regular occurrence, this kind of nun smuggling sausage ring that you broke up?
That was very unique, the smuggling of the sausage. But we found once an old lady with a hair dryer that had, I don't know how many kilos of cocaine inside. You know, this little old lady looked like, you know, grandma. And people with huge cases with cash.
But the sausage was purely a meat product? There were no...
Meat product, yeah.
So this was for consumption?
Yes, exactly. She knew that she couldn't get that particular sausage here in the States, and she was going to be here a while. I guess she figured, oh, I can't be without my sausage.
But this, I notice, has not inspired a song. It doesn't crop up anywhere in your work.
Well, it won't be in the public works. It is in my private works, you know, because I do parodies of all my songs. So this will eventually, I'm sure, end up in one of my parodies.
And this we're talking about, I suppose, 15, 20 years ago?
Yes, at least, yes.
So the nun will be due for release any day now?
Yeah, they only gave her 20 years because, you know, they treated her mildly.
It was just a small sausage?
Just a small sausage.
Okay, well, now you've cleared that up for me, and I really thank you. Let's talk different aspects of your life I want to talk about, starting with your family, if that's right, because I know from reading about you that family is very important to you.
It's very important, yes, it is.
And you live here with your husband, with your son, you have the dogs.
I got 3 dogs.
The parrot.
Yes, a son conure named Coco.
The wallabies.
2 wallabies.
And 147 different types of palm tree.
And fish.
And fish.
Pond in the front, natural
It's
pond.
a big group. Now, what happens when you go on tour? Who do you take with you and who do you leave here?
Well, we have people that live in here because for animals it's really important that they have, you know, continuity, and I wouldn't want them to suffer a lot. So when I'm gone, these people are always here. They take care of them. So I don't take the pets on tour. I take my son and my husband, obviously, and the rest, they're fine at home. Yeah.
So your husband, he's not just your husband, the man you choose to live your life with, but he's your producer?
He's my manager, my producer. He handles everything in the organization. He manages John Cicada also. He's doing many productions with other artists, so he's busy.
When it comes to the many roles he plays with you, is that kind of just purely a cost-saving exercise there?
No, he's probably the best, I think, at management. He really is an incredible businessman. He's on top of everything. And when I joined the band, it was his band. I worked for him. He was my boss for a year before there was any, you know, interplay in that way, although he always flirted, though.
Yeah.
He was a big flirt.
And he flirted with you or with all the other guys as well in the band?
No, just me.
And did you know initially when you joined the band, did you think, well, this is the one for me, or?
Well, I'll tell you, I was attracted to him. He was very attractive, but he was my boss, and he had a girlfriend at the time, an older girlfriend, because he was 22, and his girlfriend was 36. She had a 13-year-old boy. I think it scared him when she started to call him daddy, so I was just his employee for a year, and then things got a little more complicated, and we actually fell in love with each other. That was the truth.
And this has been, you've been married successfully for many years now?
15 years.
Now you are, if I may use the American phrase, you're a babe. And I imagine,
very nice of you.
when you're away, do you have guys sort of hitting on you all the time, and how does Emilio react?
You know what, I'll tell you, it's not that way, because female groupies, I think, with artists are much more, they'll do wilder things. Men are more, they'll respect more. They don't like, I think they're afraid of rejection, and if they see all these guys on stage that protect me, because the guys in the band are also like, my brothers almost at this point. They know I'm married too, so they're all right. My husband's not jealous of fans. He knows, that's necessary. They got to fall in love with you.
What about the children aspect of your life? You have the one son, as we've talked about. You're trying for another baby, I believe.
Yeah, we're working on it, but nature has to put its 2 cents in, besides a lot of hard work on our part, which is not hard work at all. It's quite pleasurable, as you know, so it's great. Pleasurable but tiring. Well, the thing is, if you've been working all day and it's like 16 and it's that time of ovulation, you go, oh my God, you got to do it. It's like you're on a schedule. That part's not fun. But
and we're not going to be, we're not going to hit the time of ovulation during the course of this interview.
Not at this particular moment. I think
you're not going to rush off and.
No. Okay. I think I can hold off till later.
If you need to, just tell me, because you
want to film it, right?
Yeah,
no, that's.
You make good television. But if you weren't with Emilio, let's say that you hadn't met Emilio then, and you weren't with him. Maybe he was just still your manager, head in the bed. Who would you be with? Who do you think? What is the kind of man that you would require? Who would you be alerting to your ovulation cycle today if it were not for Emilio? Well,
I don't know. I mean, Emilio is really my type of man. I mean, it's not just that I happen to fall in love with him. He just happens to have physical characteristics of the man that I like. He's stocky, he's tall but not too tall. He's real hairy. I love that. Probably.
So Emilio or an Emilio kind of substitute?
Look-alike, right? Yes, definitely.
I was looking at some of your early album covers and early videos, and people always go on about Madonna, how Madonna miraculously transforms herself and changes her image. But you bear very little resemblance to the person who sang, "Come on, baby, shake your body, do the conga. You can't control it any longer."
Quite a while ago.
You are almost a totally different person. When you look back on those videos, does it feel like you're looking at yourself, or is it strange?
Well, I remember myself at that stage, and everything in your life becomes a part of you, so you definitely, hopefully, evolve. But I look at myself a little different. I mean, how are your high school photos? Do you look anything like?
Well, apart from the choice of dress, everything is very similar to the way it is now. But
well, for girls, I think it's different. I think I joined the band right out of high school. I was 17 years old, and those are really the years where a woman comes into herself, or people in general. Just if I would not have been an entertainer, I probably still would have changed. Because the changes have been things that I've wanted to do for myself. It's not that I sat down and said, oh, I want to change my image or I want to look differently. I love exercise, so I started exercising. I had the luxury of having more time, so I was able to do that. I grew out my hair because I wanted to. I let it naturally curly because I was sick of, doing things to it. So it just, a natural evolvement of a person.
Because I look at the cover of the first album, and, not only...
Which one are you looking at, the Primitive Love one?
Well, the first album that I'm aware of,
right, that was actually our 8th album.
Well, first to me. I called up very slow.
If you see the first one, you'd really be shocked.
Well, so what was the look on that?
Something I don't want published. I mean, there's people holding it, I'm sure it's collector's items, but oh my God, when I look at that thing, I go, what could I have been thinking?
Because even the first one I've seen, you have enough makeup on for like a small community.
I know.
It's heavily applied.
And it's not me, because I wear very little makeup, and even when I hang out, I only do it because I want to look good for the camera and stuff, but it was just the style that the makeup artist used at that moment. And
it's kind of everything she had.
On me, yes.
The accident that almost left you paralyzed, the coach crash, and you're back now having, I believe, steel rods in to compensate.
That'll be in there forever.
Is that something, obviously people always ask you about that. It's such a dramatic event in your life, and especially for a popular entertainer like yourself, for that to happen, I guess it shocks everyone, because You never think
Shocked
it's going to
me,
happen to someone. So, what went through your mind when that happened? I mean, when the accident itself occurred, I know you knew your back was broken.
Yeah, I did know. Well, the first thing I said was what happened, because it felt like an explosion, and I had no idea that it was a crash. I had been sleeping before. Then the next thing I thought, you know, my son, because I couldn't hear him, and he was in the back of the bus studying with his tutor. So I panicked for that moment, and Emilio said, you know, find the baby. The baby, of course, being a big boy already, but he'll always be my baby, right? So when I heard him talk and Emilio brought him up to the front, that was it for me. I didn't think about anything else. I held his hand. He was very scared, so I knew that I had to keep control of my emotions for him, because I was the adult in this situation and he could be traumatized very easily. So that helped me actually quite a bit to get through that moment. But I just said, well, whatever happens doesn't matter. I'll deal with it on a moment-to-moment basis, as long as I knew that he was all right.
Yeah.
You know, he had broken his clavicle. But I knew that, that I was paralyzed. I couldn't move my legs, you know, and I just thought, well, I'll take this a moment at a time. It was just really literally trying to hold on while the paramedics came. I picked a point on the roof of the bus to concentrate. I used a lot of my childbirth breathing to get through the pain. And it was just trying to get through those hour and a half that it took to get out of there and to the hospital.
I imagine the only physical reminder you have really are the rods that are in your back.
Yeah, I've got some nuts and bolts and screws, and the rods, 2 8-inch rods on either side of my spine that keep it fused, those 6 vertebrae.
And can you still feel them? Are you aware of them?
If I sit in a hardback chair, I feel them. You know, I can foretell the weather a bit, that I can. If it's going to rain a lot, I'll feel a little, you know, sore and things. But it's really a minor price to pay.
What about when you tour, when you go through customs? Does it set off the alarms and things? And
No, I'm titanium. I'm non-magnetic. they were nice to me in that respect. I'd have to cart my X-rays around.
let me go back and ask you, we were talking earlier about your appearance, how it's changed over the years. And I've read quotes from you saying that you considered yourself unattractive as a child, that you were sort of an ugly duckling, and that you didn't, I believe, shave your legs even until you were, was it 15?
Well, that's because I wasn't allowed to shave my legs. My mother was very strict, and like I said, I'm pretty furry, so all my friends had their legs nice and shaved, and then I'd put these stockings on. Have you ever seen hairy legs with stockings over them?
Not often.
Not a pretty sight.
With the hairs, they'd come right through?
Well, not come right through, but they're all like squished down there. It's not a pleasant thing. It's kind of like if you're wearing, you know, psychedelic tights or something. But she was very strict, and she just didn't allow me to pluck my eyebrows. I had like one big eyebrow.
You had a unibrow?
Yeah, a unibrow, to the all-purpose. I wore glasses, you know. It was a bit pudgy because my grandmother fed me quite well. You know, they figure, especially Latins, they love to love you with food.
Yeah.
So it was like constant feeding. But, you know, it's like any kid. You go through very rough stages. Some people don't. They're lucky, but most people do.
The music, I suppose, is, what would the generic term be? Would it be adult contemporary? Is that what it's called, or what do you think?
Well, I hate labels, you know. They categorize things because radio seems to have the need to know, you know, what format or if their audience likes this or that. But what I have found really worldwide is that audiences are very accepting of music, no matter where it's from or whether they understand it or not. The fact that our music has been successful worldwide with a very strong Latin influence said a lot. And now with the new album, you know, that is purely one side, you know, it's very, very Hispanic. The reaction worldwide has been wonderful.
Yeah.
And, you know, in places that we never expected, places like England, like United States pop market without a single. So those things, I think music is just music and either touches you or it doesn't. So if I had to categorize it, I'd put it under rice and beans and hamburger. That's what I think our music is.
Yeah, but I mean, it's quite clear to see there are different types of music. I mean, yours is much more mainstream, say, than even the Spanish album that's now crossed over, but much more mainstream, say, than like the Chili Peppers or...
I love the Chili Peppers, and my son loves the Chili Peppers. I know some people that are, you know, a lot older than me that love the Chili Peppers. I mean, it's that sometimes people don't listen to things because they might be listening to a certain station, and that station won't take chances in playing other music. But I think the audience is out there, you know. I'm fortunate that we've been able to appeal to many people worldwide. That's great, you know, it's wonderful. But it's not what motivates me. You do music because, you know, we love what we do. You evolve. Your music changes through the years. You know, things happen. So I'm just fortunate to be able to do what I love to do.
Would you, I mean, if they asked, for example, the Chili Peppers, would you record with them if you got a shot at being on the Lollapalooza tour?
I've had my share of touring, and I think the Lollapalooza tour, knowing what goes on tours, you know, when you're out with more than one band, it's a nightmare, you know. So let them do their Lollapalooza tour. You know, it's great, and I'll stick to my tours are a lot more in control, I think.
If you were to go though on Lollapalooza, which body part would you have pierced? Do you think? Which?
Probably my navel.
Yeah.
You know, I think that if I was younger, I'd pierce my navel, but I'm not going to be exposing my stomach, you know, that
So
much
hey,
anymore.
if you're not going to do it for everyone, why do it yourself?
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to have, you know, I don't particularly want to just go through pain and then me myself stare at my navel with a hole through it. So,
Well,
but I would
you know.
do that. I would probably pierce my navel.
You could-
Milo's got 2 earrings. So.
You could flash it at the tourists when they go past.
Exactly. I could go, here, look at this.
There's Gloria's
You get other
navel.
parts that are more interesting. Pierce. That's too much pain. I don't like pain. Never mind. And then you'd be setting off alarms
We would
with all
be.
the steel all over your body.
You know, talking to you, it's quite apparent, and I know a little bit about your past, that you are far more intelligent than your average top person.
Well, that's very nice.
It's- well, it's
oh my
very
God,
true.
what are you?
Well, I'll tell you
It's
what
a
I'm building to
dangerous
is,
statement you're
would
saying.
you, and I know after the hurricane here, you got involved and you were not just helping people here at home, but you got involved on a much broader scale, helping out with the UN as well. Is politics something that would interest you? I could see maybe one happy day Gloria Estefan being like mayor of Miami, or...
Oh God, what a...
You see, you can't be
It's more like a
president,
nightmare to me.
because you weren't born here, so you can't be president, can you?
No, you can't be president. Not that I'd want to. I wouldn't want that job, I'll tell you right now. I learned one major thing about politics when I went up to the UN, and the reason I went, obviously, President Bush invited me, and it's a very important charge, and to be invited by a president to be an ambassador to your country is wonderful. And I did it as a human being because I thought, this will never happen again in my life, and if I don't take advantage of this situation, as a learning experience, I thought it was very valuable. But I really did learn that I don't want to get involved in politics because as a private citizen, I have so much control about the things that I can do, the hurricane relief being one example. We barred all politicians from that concert because we didn't want it to turn into one of these fiascos. If I were a politician, I would have so many interests from different interest groups that you have to listen to because they're your constituents or because they're this and that you ultimately have less control. So I think that there are people that are cut out for that, but I'm really not cut out for that because I'd be very frustrated, and nobody would ever have an in with me because I would never, you know, appeal or bow down to pressure from anyone. Money means nothing to me, so politics is really not anything that I think would be good, you know, for me.
So stick with the performing.
Most definitely. Singing, inspire people in your music, or, you know, inspire, hopefully in a positive way, people that listen to the things I write.
When you're on stage, it's dynamic, it's vibrant, you're lively, and it's sexy.
I mean, I feel good about it, and it still feels right, you know.
But it's a very, I'm aware that it's a very kind of, what's the word? It's a gracious kind of sexy. It's not sort of blatant, and it's not a Madonna.
Right.
Sexy.
Well, Madonna's Madonna. I mean, nobody could be Madonna.
Do you ever feel the need, though, or the urge to sort of be a bit on the sort of the nastier side like her? Do you want to wear the big pointy bra? Maybe just grab your crotch, just maybe to the side of the stage?
I might grab my crotch to the side of the stage, as long as nobody's watching.
What about for the public then?
Guys do it all the time.
When
they do it in plain view. You know, it must be an inbred thing with men. They do
They're
it all the
checking.
time.
That's the deal there.
They're itchy. I
When
guess
do we
that's
get the big Gloria Estefan world crotch-grabbing tour?
No, I don't think you'll see that. See, I'm not a controversial person. I might have. I'm very open-minded. Believe me, I doubt that you'll see anybody more open-minded than me. And I'm very accepting of a million things. You know, Madonna doesn't shock me. It takes a lot to shock me.
Yeah.
All right, I don't think I'm shockable. I mean, I might get grossed out by some things, but I'm very open that way. But it's not me. I mean, it's just not me. If it were me, I'd do it. You know, if I felt that way, if I felt as Madonna does it, that you know, she feels she's doing a service maybe by pushing the edge farther out, then I would do it. But it's really just not me. I mean, what you see is me, and what you hear in my music is me. And through the years, if I've changed, it's been me changing. But I'm just not that edgy. You know what I mean? It's not me.
Keep it private.
I'm a very private person in many things. You know, you ask me opinions, and I'll let you know. And I'm very, you know, vocal, and I'm very honest. But I'm a very private person for certain things. Yeah, I'll always be that way.
So we're idling in your, is this a yacht? What is this called, a yacht or a
No,
boat?
no, no. This is a boat. It's a Scarab, 30-foot Scarab. It's famous for being a drug-running boat.
Right, and...
Of course, we do not do those things. But the Coast Guard has these boats. They're very fast. They're great for us because we dive. You can fish off the boat. We just take it out for, you know, you can sun on it, pull skis, although it's pretty powerful. But You can be in Bimini in an hour and a half in this boat.
How far now? How long would it take you to get to Cuba if you wanted to visit your homeland in this vehicle?
Cuba's 90 miles away from the southernmost point of Key West, but probably about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, depending on the weather.
And you ever been tempted just to cruise over and just...
No. I do not want to get caught by their Coast Guard doing anything near there. No, no, no. Someday.
Do you think that you will see a time when you can do that if you want, when Cuba becomes kind of back on speaking terms with the US?
I think that would be one of the best things to be able to do, you know, visit Cuba, go on the weekend, and I'd participate in its recovery and whatever I could, but this is my home, so I've lived here longer than my mother lived in Cuba.
Yeah.
And
so maybe just to visit, not to go back to live.
Yeah, to visit and to hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, we better say. There's cruisers.
That's Madonna's yacht, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey Madonna, put your pants back on.
This is my godchild.
That's
the
it.
Nordic Empress.
Wow, look at that.
I christened this ship. It's got my picture in there.
That is something.
I look like Queen Henry VIII in that picture.
My goodness.
But anyway, we were saying is
we were talking about Cuba. Now,
Cuba. I was saying that, you know, my husband and I would love to maybe, you know, establish loans for the people there to get their own business together, very low interest, or help them out with, you know, but you know, you have to be careful. This is really our home, and
which brings us kind of neatly to the album, because you just Mi Tierra has come out, which is, it's not purely traditional songs, it's some new stuff you've written as well, in the spirit of.
It's all new songs that we've written, all new songs. We almost try to put ourselves in Cuba in the 30s and 40s and try to think, well, if we were writing at this time, what would we write?
So did you feel there was a risk involved in releasing an album which was nowhere near as kind of accessible to English-speaking fans as your previous work?
Well, I did put lyrics on them, on the CDs, and I wanted to put it on the cassette too, but they said that it couldn't fit. Of course, I called them and said, if monks in Tibet can put the Our Father on the head of a pin, I think we could put these lyrics on the cassette, but well, I guess they couldn't find any monks from Tibet. But it's on the CD so people know what is being said exactly, literally. And it wasn't a risk because really at this point I'm enjoying a moment in a career that is great, that you can take, you know, do something that's really from the heart, and a project that has nothing to do with being commercial or getting on the radio, and something that I wanted my fans to hear, you know, one side of my heritage. And I did it for my Hispanic fans. I wanted to do something special for them. That's why we didn't just re-record old tracks. So there's a lot of things. And it's gone on to be a big success, right? Crossover on the English-speaking market. A lot of surprises. It's reached top 40 in the States and the Anglo, you know, chart without a single, because it's all Spanish. Yeah. And it's been #1 for like 7 or 8 weeks on the Latin chart in Billboard, #1 in Spain for 7 weeks, in Holland and Japan. And it deserves to be. It's a beautiful album. No, thank you. I love listening to it. It's my favorite project we've ever done. Let me ask you about acting, because I read somewhere that you were thinking of an acting career. And well, I'd love to do that. It's something that I think would be a challenge, and but it really has to be the right project, and I haven't found one yet, you know. Do you get offered roles? Have you been offered many parts? I've been offered many roles, yeah. What kind of parts have you turned down? Well, I've turned out all the ones that have any stereotypes, you know, women that have beat up their husband or killed them and are now in jail, you know. I don't think I need to do that. The Meryl Streep parts. Yeah, exactly. But it's hard to come by good roles, and ideally I would love something in an ensemble, you know, something like that other people were in that are strong, that you can learn from a director that would work with actors, and it's hard to find that. Why do you think it is that there aren't that many famous Cubans? I mean, there's you, there's Andy Garcia as well known, there's say Desi Arnaz, and then there's, I suppose, Castro himself. They're the kind of most famous people I would associate with Cuba. Well, that's pretty damn good for a little island 90 miles off of the coast. It's the size of the state. Maybe I should reword it then. Why are there so many famous Cubans? No, I think, you know, it's great that, and you'll be seeing a lot more famous Cubans because there's wonderful artists and painters. We collect a lot of them that you're going to be seeing come into the international picture, and musicians have always, like Cachao, they've been maybe not in the limelight, but they're wonderful musicians throughout the history of Cuba. So I think, you know, it's great that we've been able to go worldwide. It's a wonderful honor for me and for any Hispanic, I think, really, to compete on that level. We've kind of finished now. I just want to say thank you for giving us the time, because you really are, it was so much fun and you're such a nice person. Well, thank you very much. See, we were getting rain.